So let's build a checklist here. A D&D, Dungeons & Dragons, Dungeon Master checklist, preparing for your first game. The ideal scenario. Walking into a gaming store, the gaming club, or your friend's house, setting up to play. This is the optimal checklist that I like to do to feel prepared, to feel ready, because ultimately what we're looking to do, and we explored this in a couple of other podcasts, as a DM, you've got a lot going on. You've got to manage the rules. You've got to keep the narrative going. You've got to resolve, can the players do this? What's the DC check? What do they roll? How are the NPCs? How are the monsters going to react? You're figuring all that out. You're telling the story. And ideally, you're engaging every player to make sure they're having a good time. That's a lot. That's a lot. And I don't say that to intimidate you. I say that, and in pushing out these podcasts and vlogs, the idea where we find our vision and our voice. We find the type of adventures that we like to run, the type of narrative that we like to play. As a DM, you have unique talents. As a person, you have unique talents. Let's pull those out. Let's put them on the table, and let's make them work so you can truly craft a memorable adventure. That's the idea behind this virtual DM toolkit. So ideally, I mean, there have been times where literally I'm running late and we hardly have any table space and all my stuff is just on a lunch tray on my lap, and let's do it. I mean, we'll roll some dice, see what happens. But ideally, a day or two before we're going to play D&D, I like to review the adventure module. I'm not going to memorize it. I'm going to be kind of casual, whether it's a pre-production module or something I've written myself with my notes, just to get an idea of what the players are going to be looking to do this adventure session. And especially if it's a published module, I want to just look and see, based on the encounters, are there any things that I might have to look up in the rules, or a monster that has not only innate attacks but special abilities? Maybe I just want to put a couple of sticky marks, post-it notes in the monster's manual, player's handbook, just so if I have to look it up, I can quickly flip to it. Get an idea of what's in store for the gaming session. Arriving to play, I like to set up a Dungeon Master's screen. I do utilize it naturally, of course, to look up stuff, but mainly to hide my maps and my notes. It allows me to spread out the book. It allows me to spread out the dungeon map. I like to have 1 or 2 sheets of scrap paper in case I have to track initiative or write down some notes, assign experience points. I like to have a couple of sets of dice. And if we are playing with miniatures, have those miniatures ready to go. Having your little command center as best you can, hiding behind the DM screen, that's an important resource. That's going to help keep you relaxed. That's going to help keep you organized. And in those moments where the players are talking amongst themselves, figuring out what's going to happen, where they're going to go, what they're going to do, while I'm listening, I'm also using that time to just see what's ahead, maybe look something up, try to stay one step ahead so that when they inquire with that action, I'm ready to go. As we progress through the adventure, not that I'm looking at the time, not that I'm counting the clock. I mean, I don't want the adventure to end. But I try and see the pace of the adventure. Try to see the pace of the adventure. And in theory, what's coming up ahead? Are we reaching what I call an NSP, a natural stopping point? So if we're about 15 minutes left before the store begins to close down, we got to pack up and get out of here. And the party is almost, I mean, they may know what's ahead, they might not. If they're coming up against a major encounter, so this is like, they're exploring these caves. They're trying to recover the Heartstone. And in the next cave is a pair of dual frost giants, all jacked up, ready to go. I mean, this is going to be a pivotal fight. I won't say it's a boss fight, but it's a pivotal fight in the adventure module. It's going to be epic. And there's some good loot. There's some good gear. As a DM, I want to savor that. I want us to enjoy that. I want to taunt the players. I want to get in character with the frost giants. Can I cram that in 15 minutes? I mean, I guess I could. We could rush it. But there are going to be times, based on the natural progression of the adventure, where it would be good to end a little bit early. It would be good to kind of stop right here. So as I see that, I don't want to just say, hey, we're stopping, we're done, because next week are the Frost Giants. I'll kind of wind things down and maybe leave a question mark. What's in that next cave? What's behind that door? And we'll stop for this week. I try to play up to the clock, but we'll stop for this week, depending on what's next. I then like to leave a little bit of time, if possible, for last-minute bookkeeping. So I assign experience points. We try to divvy up the treasure. If someone levels up, if a character levels up, I let the player handle that on their own time, meaning, they want to think about what ability score they might bump up, if they're going to take some feats, if they want to buy some more gear and equipment. That's all stuff that they can do offline outside of the table. But the one thing that we roll, the one thing that we have to roll because of the tension and the excitement is for hit points. If you level up, you take your hit die in your hand and you roll it. You roll it. And it has to land on the table. If it's on the floor, it doesn't count. Anytime it falls on the floor, it's like, the highest you can get. You roll it on the table. That's what you get. Now, if you play a wizard or a magic user or an arcane class like myself, I want, I'm doing a D4. I want a 4. I want as many hit points as I can. But I'm a squishy mage. If I roll a 1, okay. Hopefully I got my magics up and my spells up to protect me. If you're a barbarian, you've got a D12 or a D10 hit dice, depending on the addition of D&D. Okay, you crunch the numbers, the math hammer, the theory hammer. On average, you'll do 4 to 8. If you get 11, 10, 11, 12, that's great. You roll a 1, that hurts. Playing characters that have higher hit dice, when you roll the 1, that hurts. I don't allow rerolls. I know, I feel awful saying that, but that's just where we are. So the hit points, the rolling, has to happen. And I give you time to make offerings to the dice gods and plead to whoever the gaming gods are that you don't roll this one as a barbarian, as a fighter, as a paladin, but you have to roll it. We do that bookkeeping. That's kind of the flow for running an adventure. That's the ideal setup because, again, I'm trying to be relaxed. I'm trying to have an idea of what we're going to accomplish in this session so I can free my creativity. I can explore as a DM what pulls out the best gaming experience that I can deliver for the group.